हेलो दोस्तों, बिगनर्स पॉइंट में आपका स्वागत है और अभी हम कर रहे हैं करंट अफेयर्स। वर्ल्ड स्पेस वीक 4 to 10 अक्टूबर बाय रिजोल्यूशन 54/868 of 6 December 1999. The General Assembly proclaimed World Space Week to celebrate the contributions of space science and technology to the betterment of the human conditions. For World Space Week 2025, the chosen theme is Living in Space. World Space Week is the largest annual space event in the world. On October 4, 1957, the launch into outer space of the first human-made Earth satellite, Sputnik 1, opened the way for space exploration. A decade later, on 10 October 1967, the Treaty on Principles Governing the Activities of States in the Exploration and Use of Outer Space, including the Moon and other celestial bodies, entered into force. World Teachers Day 5 October. The World Teachers Day is held annually on 5 October to celebrate all teachers around the globe. It commemorates the anniversary of the adoption of the 1966 ILO UNESCO recommendation concerning the status of teachers, which sets benchmark regarding the rights and responsibilities of teachers and standards of their initial preparation. The recommendation concerning the status of higher education teaching personnel was adopted in 1997 to complement the 1966 recommendation by covering teaching personnel in higher education. World Teachers Day has been celebrated since 1994. World Teachers Day is co-convened in partnership with the International Labour Organization, UNICEF and Education International. Village councils in Mizoram receive over rupees 14.52 crores ex 15th Finance Commission United Grants. During the financial year 2025-26 for rural local bodies in Mizoram, the union government has released the second installment of United Grants amounting to rupees 14.40 crore under the 15th Finance Commission XVFC along with the by withheld amount of the first installment of United Grants amounting to rupees 0.1209 crores for fiscal year 2023-24. These grants will benefit all 808 eligible village councils in the state. Earlier in August 2025, Mizoram had received rupees 14.2761 crores for 827 eligible village councils as part of the 2023-24 grants. The Ministry of Panchayati Raj and the Ministry of Jal Shakti recommended the release of 5th Finance Commission grants for RLB's PRI, which is subsequently released by MOF in two installments. United grants are meant to be utilized by rural local bodies PRIs for location specific felt needs under the 29 subjects listed in the 11th schedule of the Constitution except for salaries and other establishment expenditures. Tied grants, on the other hand, are earmarked for basic services relating to sanitation and maintenance of ODF and supply of drinking water. Next one is Jane Goodall, primate, expert and wildlife advocate, dies at 91. Scientist and global activist Jane Goodall, who turned her childhood love of primates into a lifelong quest for protecting the environment, died on October 1, 2025 at 91. In 2003, she was appointed a Dame of the British Empire, and in 2025 she received the US Presidential Medal of Freedom. In 1977, she set up the Jane Goodall Institute, a non-profit organization aimed at supporting the research in Gombe as well as conservation and development efforts across Africa. Its work has since expanded worldwide and includes efforts to tackle environmental education, health, and advocacy. RBI grants SRO status to Finance Industry Development Council (FIDC). The Reserve Bank of India (RBI) granted self-regulatory organization (SRO) status to the Finance Industry Development Council (FIDC). According to the central bank, it had received three applications to be recognized as self-regulatory organizations in the NBFC space, including that of the FIDC. The remaining two applications were not considered since they were incomplete. As on the last date of submission of application, the RBI said in its press release, the microfinance companies have two SROs, Sedhan and Microfinance Network (MFIN). Meanwhile, the Fintech Association for Consumer Empowerment (FACE) is the SRO for fintechs. IPA appoints Zydus Life Sciences MD Shrival Patel as new president. The Indian Pharmaceutical Alliance announced that Zydus Life Sciences Managing Director Shrival Patel has taken over as the president of the organization, succeeding Torrent Group chairman Sameer Mehta. The IPA represents 23 leading national pharmaceuticals companies, accounting for over 85% of private sector investment in pharmaceutical research and development. Founded in 1999 under the leadership of Dilip G. Shah (1941–2019), an industry veteran and first alumnus of IIM Ahmedabad, IPA was established to represent the Indian pharmaceuticals industry issues that advocate for a balanced and inclusive intellectual property framework. TMB joins hands with Vigofin Digital Solutions for payment aggregator Biz. Tamil Nadu Mercantile Bank announced a strategic partnership with Vigofin Digital Solutions, a fintech firm, to expand digital banking and financial services for businesses across India. The collaboration marks a milestone in TMB's digital transformation journey, introducing the banking as a payment aggregator (PAPA) model to empower MSMEs with technology-driven solutions. Through this tie-up, TMB will strengthen its role as a banking partner while enabling seamless UPI merchant acquiring, automated payouts, fraud risk management, and compliance-driven financial operations. The partnership will also see the launch of EquireX and DisburseX platforms. TMB will use Vigofin's Reserve Bank of India complement complaint SaaS platforms to onboard merchants. HDFC Bank's deposits and gross advanced up 12.1% and 9.9% respectively. HDFC Bank reported deposit and gross advances growth of 12.1% year-on-year and 9.9% year-on-year respectively in the second quarter ended September 30, 2025 per provisional business numbers released by the bank. In absolute terms, has at September end 2025 deposits and gross advance stood at 28,150 crores has at September end 2024 and 27 lakh 69,000 crore 25 lakh 19,000 crore respectively per the private sector lenders regulatory filling. The period end advances under management, advances grossing up for interbank participation certificates, bills discontinued, securitization assignment of India's largest private sector bank rose 8.9% to rupees 28 lakh 69,000 crore as of September 30, 2025 over 26,330 33,400 crore as of September 30, 2024. With overall deposits, while current accounts, saving accounts, CASA deposit increased by 7.4% year-on-year to rupees 9 lakh 49,000 crore. Time deposits were up 14.6% year-on-year to rupees 18 lakh 52,500 crore. The proportion of CSA deposits in overall deposits declined to 33.87% as at September end 2025 from 35.34% as at September end 2024. ADB approves $190 million loan for Indore Metro Rail project. The Asian Development Bank (ADB) has approved a $190 million loan to support the development of the Indore Metro Rail Project, a transformative initiative aimed at enhancing urban mobility, reducing pollution, and promoting inclusive growth in the largest city of Madhya Pradesh, India. The project will finance the construction of an 8.62-kilometer underground metro line with 7 stations connecting congested areas of Indore to the airport. Founded in 1966, ADB is owned by 69 members, 50 from the region. The metro line is expected to significantly reduce greenhouse gas emissions by an estimated 12,414 tons of carbon dioxide equivalent annually. Capgemini appoints Sanjay Chalke as India's CEO, Yardi to retire in 2026. Capgemini India said Sanjay Chalke will become its Chief Executive Officer (CEO) on January 1 as equipment Ashwani Yardi retires from the IT services firm that has headquarters in Paris. Chalke, who is presently the Chief Operating Officer (COO), will join Capgemini Group Executive Committee. India is Capgemini's largest center. Capgemini India comprises around 18 lakh team members in 13 cities, including Bengaluru, Coimbatore, Gandhinagar, Kolkata, Mumbai. Capgemini Group reported global revenue of 22.1 billion euro in 2024. Now, RBI imposed monetary penalty on HDB Financial Services Limited. The Reserve Bank of India (RBI) has, by an order dated October 1, 2025, imposed a monetary penalty of 4.20 lakh rupees 4 lakh 20,000 only on HDB Financial Services Limited, the company, for non-compliance with the certain provisions of the Reserve Bank of India Know Your Customer (KYC) Directions 2016 issued by RBI. The company failed to obtain permanent account number (PAN) or equivalent e-document thereof or firm number 60 in certain loan accounts disbursed during financial year 2023-24. This action is based on deficiencies in regulatory compliance and is not intended to pronounce upon the validity of any transaction or agreement entered into by the company. This penalty has been imposed in exercise of powers conferred on RBI under Clause B of subsection 1 of Section 858G, read with Clause AA of subsection 5 of Section 58B of the Reserve Bank of India Act 1934. The statutory inspection of the company was conducted by RBI with reference to its financial position as on March 31, 2024. Reserve Bank launches a scheme for facilitating accelerated payout in operative accounts and unclaimed deposits. In this endeavor to encourage the banks to actively pursue customers, depositors for reactivation of their inoperative accounts and return of their unclaimed amounts lying with depositor education and awareness DEA fund. The Reserve Bank of India today announced a scheme for facilitating accelerated payout in operative accounts and unclaimed deposits. The scheme aims to reduce both the stock of existing unclaimed deposits and fresh accretion of flows to the DEA fund. It will run for a period of 1 year with October 1, 2025 to September 30, 2026. RBI issues amendment directions circulars. The Reserve Bank of India (RBI) has issued 7 direction circulars proposing to amend some of the extant directions circulars applicable to uh, proposing to amend some of the extant directions circulars applicable to banks and other regulated entities. While 3 of these amendments come into effect immediately, Part A, public comments are solicited on the other 4. Part B, directions which come into force from October 1, 2025. Reserve Bank of India interest rate on advance amendment directions 2025 in terms of the extent Reserve Bank of India interest rate on advance directions 2016 dated March 3, 2016 scheduled commercial banks SCBs are required to benchmark all floating rate personal on retail loans, housing, auto, etc., and floating rate loans extended to MSMEs to an external benchmark, while banks are free to decide the spread over the external benchmark other than credit risk premium. All components of the spread can be altered only once in 3 years. Further, in respect of equated monthly installments, EMI based personal loans, the circular on reset of floating interest rate on EMI based personal loans dated August 18, 2023 requires the regulated entities to provide a mandatory option to the borrowers at the time of reset of interest rates to switch over to a fixed rate. Wide the above amendment directions, it is proposed to revise the above provisions to benefit the borrowers while providing greater flexibility to the lenders. Banks may reduce the other spread components for the benefit of the borrower earlier than 3 years. Banks may, at their discretion, provide the option to switch over to fixed rate at the time of reset at their discretion. Reserve Bank of India lending against gold and silver collateral First Amendment Direction 2025. Banks and are generally prohibited from lending for purchase of gold, silver in any form or lending against the security of primary gold silver. However, a carve-out has been allowed for scheduled commercial banks (SCB) for granting working capital loans to jewelers. While the proposed amendment directions, it is proposed to extend the carve-out for granting any need-based working capital requirements of a borrower that uses gold as a raw material or input in its manufacturing or industrial processing activities. Permit Tier 3 and Tier 4 urban cooperative banks to also grant working capital loans and on the same lines as proposed for SCB. The above instructions shall be duly incorporated under the Reserve Bank of India lending against gold and silver collateral directions 2025. Reserve Bank of India Basel III Capital Regulations Perpetual Debate Instruments PDI in additional Tier 1 capital eligible limit for instruments denominated denominated in foreign currency rupee denominated bonds overseas direction 2025. The Reserve Bank had issued a circular DORCAPREC number 56 to 21 6 2001 2122 dated October 4, 2021 on Basel III capital regulations perpetual debt instruments PDI in additional Tier 1 capital eligible limit for instruments denominated in foreign currency rupee denominated bonds overseas applicable to scheduled commercial banks excluding regional rural banks which specifies the eligible limit for PDIs denominated in foreign currency rupee denominated bonds overseas. The said instructions have also been incorporated in subparagraph 3 in subparagraph 2 of paragraph 1.16 of Annex 4 to the Master Circular DORCAPREC to 21 6 20 2201 2025-26 dated April 1, 2025 on Basel III Capital Regulations. The Reserve Bank has today released the Reserve Bank of India Basel III Capital Regulations Perpetual Debt Instruments (PDA) in additional Tier 1 capital eligible limit for instruments denominated in foreign currency rupee denominated bonds overseas. Direction 2025 which revises the existing eligible limit applicable to PDI denominated in foreign currency rupee denominated bonds overseas, thereby providing greater headroom to banks for augmenting their Tier 1 capital via overseas markets. Directions circulars which are being issued as draft for public feedback. Reserve Bank of India Gold Metal Loans Directions 2025. The Gold Metal Loan (GML) scheme was introduced. Wide circular on gold loan dated December 31, 1998 to facilitate working capital finance to jewelry exporters in the form of raw gold imported by banks. The scheme has been liberalized over the years by inter alia, allowing banks to extend GML to domestic jewelry manufacturers, and also from the gold deposits mobilized under the gold monetization scheme, with a view to further liberalize the scheme, harmonize the extent regulations applicable across eligible borrower segments in jewelry industry, and provide more operational freedom to banks to devise their GML policy. A draft of comprehensive set of directions on GML is being issued. The draft directions, apart from making the same more principle-based, cover the following key modifications in the existing GML schemes. Banks may fix a repayment tenure for GML extended to jewelers other than exporters, subject to a revised ceiling of 2070 days from current 180 days. Extent guidelines allows extension of GML to jewelry exporters and domestic jewelry manufacturers. It is proposed to allow GML to domestic manufacturers as well for outstanding their manufacturing of jewelry. Large Exposure Framework Amendment Circular 2025 and Guideline on Management of Intra-Group Transactions and Exposures Amendment Circular 2025. Circulars on Large Exposure Framework (LEF) dated June 3, 2019. Large Exposure Framework Credit Risk Mitigation (CRM) for offsetting non-centrally cleared derivative transactions of foreign banks branches in India with their head office (LEF) CRM dated September 9, 2021, and Guidelines on Management of Intra-Group Transactions and Exposures (ITE) dated February 11, 2014, prescribe prudential norms on banks' exposure to its counterparties as also those to its group entities. The two amendment circulars amend the extent norms to clarify certain aspects of the prudential treatment of exposures of foreign banks operating as branch in India and align some of the prudential norms under LEF and ITE. The key changes include the following: exposure of Indian branches of foreign banks to their head HO, and branches and subsidiaries of the HO shall be recognized only for LEF and not ITE. Such exposures which are cleared through a central counterparty shall be considered on a gross basis. Funds received from the HO and kept by the Indian branch of a foreign bank under a special arrangement with RBI has a cash unencumbered. Approved securities are treated as CRM for offsetting non-centrally cleared derivative transactions of such branches with their HO. It is proposed to extend the CRM benefit to any exposure of a foreign bank branch to its HO. Computation of exposure under ITE is proposed to be made consistent with those under LEF, that is, the benefit of the credit conversion factor for deciding credit equivalence of off-balance sheet exposures, and the credit risk mitigation technique for offsetting exposures to a counterparty shall henceforth be permitted for ITE exposures. The ITE threshold, which is currently linked to paid-up capital and reserves, is proposed to be linked to Tier 1 capital of banks. Draft Reserve Bank of India Credit Information Reporting First Amendment Directions 2025. The Master Direction Reserve Bank of India Credit Information Reporting Directions 2025 mandates submission of credit information by credit institutions (CIs) to credit information companies (CICs) at fortnightly or shorter intervals. Given the increasing reliance of CIs on credit information reports in credit underwriting process, the credit information reports CIR provided by CIC must reflect more recent information. Accordingly, the provisions of the Master Directions Reserve Bank of India Credit Information Reporting Direction 2025 pertaining to the frequency of reporting of credit information by CI to CIC have been reviewed. It is proposed to transition or to weekly credit information submission by CI to CIC. The draft amendments also mandate measures to facilitate faster data submission and error rectification by the CIs. Further, to facilitate aggregation of credit information by CICs, it is proposed to capture the central Know Your Customers (CKYC) Number is a separate field in the reporting format of the कंज्यूमर सेगमेंट। और इसी के साथ करंट अफेयर्स हो जाती है समाप्त।